Oh man.
Is the most exciting piece of technology that I've used in years, and why I can't wait to pack it up and put it away. End of this video to learn more. First contact with the Vision Pro is something you won't soon forget. Material choices and the build quality are exceptional to the point where I would say they are the best we have ever seen on a VR headset. From the aluminum frame to the curved glass front to the fabric headband, it is on a whole different level, which
I think it's
should
order mine, but I'm pretty sure I can get one like
very
pretty easy, right?
Headset. But there is one small problem. These hinges do not rotate. The hinge where it attaches is no hinge at all. It doesn't swivel, which from my experience means choosing between either extra pressure on your forehead or wearing it higher and having extra pressure on your cheekbones.
I hate
and
that.
In my case, particularly the bridge of my nose.
I hate all of that.
Apple acknowledges this with the inclusion of their dual loop band. But this has the exact same problem of inflexibility, meaning that, say for example, you like to wear a back ponytail, you better learn to wear a top one or a low one. And it makes mounting the device more annoying and still resulted in subpar comfort for me. The good news is that it's easy to forget, at least for a while, the second the screen turns on. Believe every single word you heard from the Apple evangelists in your life, because holy balls, does this thing ever look incredible. At just under 4K per eye, with nearly 3 times the pixel count of the Meta Quest 3, not to mention no discernible screen door effect whatsoever. It is unlike anything that I have ever experienced. The 12 cameras on the front and bottom of the device create a 3-dimensional live view of the world around you that, again, crushes Mr. Zuckerberg's best efforts. And this is all thanks to Apple's latest homegrown silicon, the R1, which handles the video stitching and pass-through,
I'll buy one, but I don't want to get them. Like, I don't want to order it and now. It's going to take forever to get it.
Movements in a way that I just didn't think would be possible for quite a long time. Now, one thing to be careful of is getting fingerprints on the cameras, as it's very easy to do accidentally while putting the headset on, and it will make things look a little...
If I go to Apple Store, I can buy one and get it at the store, back to my home instantly.
Fuzzy. When it's working its best, though,
I'm about to go buy one now.
This is ever incredible. You look around, you resize, you reposition objects in virtual space, and it's shockingly smooth and natural. As long as you don't want to do something Apple says you're not allowed to do, like, oh, I don't know, zoom something in more than you're allowed to. Another Apple thing is that they tend to be selective about publishing their specs, and they opted not to publish a field of view number for this headset. Now, that could be because it varies depending on your exact face shape and how you wear it. The thicker cushion, for example, will shrink it a little bit. But the more likely reason is that it kind of sucks.
Oh, now you guys say it's only United States. Oh, now you say
using what Alex calls,
thank you, chat.
The FOV Finder
well
5000. For context, the Valve Index is around 110 degrees, and the leading headset from Pimax is about 160, with the original Oculus Rift being 88.
Chat, guys, all these specs and shit like that, I don't get that much.
Why don't we move on to one of its greatest strengths? Putting an enormous high-fidelity display anywhere you want. And
guys, I already watched like 8 reviews already.
Now,
because I already watched like 8 reviews. Dude,
I went into this.
Oh, damn, he's got a raccoon.
Assuming that getting Windows working on this headset would be a chore and a half, or at least 1.3 chores. I mean, Apple doesn't even let you buy the Vision Pro if you don't already have a reasonably current iPhone. But as it turns out, the process is incredibly simple. If you only want to play games, all you've got to do is download the Steam Link iPad app from the App Store, choose what computer you want to stream from, and it figures out the rest. I mean, is that something or what? What kind of absolute mad lad would have a TV this big? Whee! It's a little laggy.
Oh, I would fucking hate that.
Would I find it easier to play just looking at the laptop screen with the 12 milliseconds or so of pass-through? Dude, with all the just like compression blocking and everything, and the fact that this is only at 1080p, the experience like this is pretty similar. Whee!
Chat, even with TV, with everything, chat, I feel like playing
Of
games,
course,
it's
the
hard to beat
difference
a
is that I
monitor.
can't put that display anywhere that I want. And as much as I might complain about the latency, it's good enough for most gamers in most games. For example, in Forza, assuming you're a halfway decent driver, you'll probably find that frame pacing is more important than a little bit of lag here or there. But if you were to play other games, competitive games, even driving ones like, say, Rocket League, the latency is too high to, for example, counter a
Chat, that
last-second fake-out
sucks.
from your opponent. Steam Link also has some big limitations regardless of which headset you're using. The highest resolution that you can stream is 1080p.
Chat, because of how good this is overall, right? A driving sim with this on could have been really cool.
And you can only play games. But that, my friends, is where Sunshine and Moonlight come in.
Could have been.
And no, I'm not telling you.
Or
anything
will
else.
be.
Sunshine, available on the Lizardbyte GitHub page, allows you to easily convert your PC or laptop into a streaming server. Then, the Moonlight iPad app on your Vision Pro will give you full access to your Windows machine at up to 4K 120 frames per second.
It's too much
Though
fucking.
it should be noted, you're gonna need one
I need like a PhD to fucking operate this shit, and like a fucking spaceship.
gaming perspective aside then. Let's take a look at the Vision Pro more in the ways that Apple intended, which is where the device starts to get, in some ways,
2 apps?
cooler,
I'm good on that,
but
bro.
in other
You
ways,
would do
a
that.
bit more complicated. I've already stated that this is the best video pass-through that I've encountered by a metric mile. But pass-through has never been a core function of a headset to quite the same degree before. On a PSVR or
I'll
most
do the whole thing then,
PC
fuck it.
headsets, it's a convenience feature, so you can
Chat, I want-
find
chat, I
your
want
water
to do
bottle
this
in
video.
between
Is it good?
rounds. But on the Vision Pro, the expectation is that you're doing work, probably in an office with other humans, while in pass-through mode for extended periods of time, which can get rather strange because it literally warps your perception of reality. Oh yeah, that's really disorientating.
Huh?
They won't be seeing it in 3D, so they won't realize how this tree, like... You see, the camera distorts your perception of objects, particularly ones that are too close, and while the pass-through is shockingly low latency, allowing you to easily dodge a thrown object, the perception of depth, of really everything around you, is going to be a bit off.
Yeah,
The
for
good
sure.
news is that your brain is really good at compensating for this. So when you hear people say, yeah, the first 30 minutes was kind of weird, but then it just clicked, you can expect to have a pretty similar experience. The weird one, though, is that your brain also clicks the other way. So when you take the headset off, it's typical to have a minute or two of, whoa, hold on a sec.
Chat, is it studied, Chat, if there's possible long-lasting effects out of like having a lag with your perception all day and then taking it off? Like having a good span of time, having an actual lag and going back to normal?
And before things click back into place.
Sure, that could be
Speaking of
disorienting.
things clicking into place,
No.
a big pet peeve of mine with this product is the complete inability to grab something in the virtual world and pin it in your peripheral vision while you go about the rest of your life. In fairness to Apple, the accuracy of the way that it takes an object and keeps it exactly where you left it is incredible. It's just that I don't always want to have to carry things around with me when I want to refer back to them, like this script. Another thing that bummed me out anytime I spent an extended period in pass-through was the video fidelity. And look, I don't want to take anything away from what
Well, it's
Apple
interesting.
has
I like his
achieved
review.
here. But I could never forget that I was looking at a video feed of the world through phone cameras. Compounding this issue is the fact that virtual content rendered by the Vision Pro is so high fidelity and so vibrant that the real world ends up looking drab and dull by comparison. Here, I could demonstrate this. That right there is a color checker classic on what is
makes sense.
by all accounts, beautiful and color accurate screen. This is a color checker classic in the real world. See the difference?
Yeah, it could be a problem with like
Another
cars
major
around
issue
and shit,
is
you
motion
know?
blur. While the pixel response times of this micro OLED display allow objects to look extremely crisp even when in motion, as
No.
you move your head, it's normal for the whole world to end up looking and feeling
Because you pay less attention to the world and surroundings because it is lovely compared to whatever's on screen.
a little bit jello.
You get distracted or whatever.
Also, Apple is regularly
you pay
forced to use weird shutter angles in order to compensate for the
Oh, you want me to shut up
flickering
again?
of lights around you, which can in some cases cause them to have to crank the ISO, adding a bunch of noise to the image, even in well-lit rooms.
This
While we
chat's
spent
so
a lot of
fucking
time
dumb.
so far talking about things you can do with the Vision Pro, I actually spent
Gamble.
most of my time with the device
Gambling.
doing what you are supposed to do, which is
Gambling.
professional work in my own virtual space. And it can be really sweet. I love being able
machines.
to take private
Tap,
notes
tap,
in
tap,
a
tap.
meeting or
Tap, tap, tap.
work on sensitive material in a group setting. But the problem is that it cuts both ways. One of the first things that I wanted to do was share a document with someone and mark it up together. And yeah, because there's no obvious way to mirror my MacBook's display, I had to use a bizarre workaround that involved screen sharing from inside the Vision Pro to a video conference with someone who was sitting there on a laptop next to me in the same room. Also, even if all you want to do is work privately, the whole setup can be a bit of a chore. I mean, the Vision Pro sounds
The
like
fucking
having your
wire,
own
dude.
personal Colin holding a TV for you and then allowing it to be repositioned and float effortlessly wherever you want. But in practice, I just don't really often need to do that. And neither do a lot of people. For example, Nicole.
Well, you mean
Here's
nobody?
a real person doing real work. For a fraction of the cost of a Vision Pro, she has multiple 4K displays all within her field of view at once. And this is how much
Nah.
she has to move her head.
Chat, it's more comparing, chat, to the actual potential uses of this, like 3D modeling and whatever, right? Especially in real time, in real person, or yes, people who are very visual, who work in art and design. So, oh yeah, look, we could do this instead, and like doing that, and individuals can see it. That is the way I
order to
think.
look between them.
There's legit potential.
Wow. Again, I appreciate this thing for the technological marvel that it is.
Oh, let me mute again?
4K
Okay, I'm
display
muting.
in a single square inch. But for optimal text clarity, you need to use most of those pixels, meaning that the virtual monitor needs to be absolutely massive for the Vision Pro to really shine, making your workspace feel less like this and more like this. Obviously, this demo is meant to be illustrative more than literal.
True, it
For
makes
one
sense,
thing,
actually.
The Vision Pro does not currently support more than one MacBook display, and we have 5. Also, it's more like having a much larger TV that is quite a bit farther away. And that is a good thing in the sense that you'll be focusing more than a few feet in front of you, but I still found that in spite of that, eye strain was a big problem for me if I spent more than an hour or so in spatial computing land. Making this productivity problem worse is the fact that at this time, the Vision Pro doesn't allow you to save your layouts. So every
I was about to
time you
ask
want
about
to
that.
get back into it, you've got to put it on, authenticate, connect to your MacBook, resize that display, open a Safari window, put that over there where you want
that's
it, maybe
awful.
your emails go over here. It's a lot of friction that our editors, for example, don't go through every time they want to sit down and get a couple hours of work done before their eyes and face hurt too much to continue. But none of that was my biggest disappointment. That actually came on day 1. When I took home my shiny Vision Pro, super excited to play with what is arguably the most revolutionary device to hit the market in years, and quickly realized there's nothing to do. You can experience things.
Oh, that's
you can watch
classic.
TV, look at 3D models.
That's how VR
you
was.
can play iPad apps with kind of janky controls, but I realized really quickly I wasn't having any fun. I know app support is going to expand rapidly, and in the near future, there will almost certainly be some really cool stuff to do.
And still
But
is.
at the moment, what's available ranges from boring to outright dystopian.
Chat.
So
Unfortunately, VR, reality is, chat, is that really where it's at is VR chat and porn. It is what it is. I said it.
what is
Whatever you
good
say,
for-
I don't give a fuck.
If you don't need it for work, I'd say watching stuff in your own private movie theater is the killer app. You can really appreciate the higher streaming quality of extras at lmg.gg/floatplane, and watching 3D movies in this thing is second to none. I think it's even safe to say that watching Encanto on the Vision Pro in 3D is the absolute best way to experience that movie. By myself. It's just that for the price of a Vision Pro, I could get a flagship LG C3, I could get a coffee table and a couch, and then I could experience it with my friends. I mean, sure, it might not be as immersive, but I know which one I'd rather have. I'll be back in a minute, guys. First, I just gotta finish up this review. Honestly, I felt the same way about spatial photos and videos. Reliving them? Absolutely amazing. And it feels like you're there again. So if you have a spatial capture capable iPhone...
Yeah, but now you feel like you're there again, right? But what if when you were there, did you really feel like you were there? If you were behind this fucking bullshit screen? No.
Now is the time to start using that feature so that when a Vision Pro that's worth buying appears, you're going to be ready to look back on those memories with a level of depth that is unmatched.
I mean
even
that.
If it is a little
I'm not even trying to be philosophical.
So for all my criticisms,
were you actually there?
I don't hate the Vision Pro, and I don't even think that it's bad. It's an incredible feat of engineering, and it delivers on its promise of enabling new ways of interacting with each other and with the world around us. It's just not for me, and not right now. I just can't think of a single thing that I would do with the Vision Pro that I wouldn't rather do on a device that I already own. And think about it.
Guys, I would much rather have a very high quality body cam and do all that than wear it and see real life through a fucking screen. Because that's like going to the concert and being like this the whole time. Ooh! You're still looking at the screen the whole time, brother.
$3,500, almost $4,000
I have a body cam.
for a
They're
decent amount of
sick.
storage. I could read on my Kindle, work on my laptop, watch shows on my TV, and game on my PS5. And I can practically hear you guys saying, well, yeah, but everything that you just said is true of the smartphone as well. This is your Ballmer moment, Linus. This is never going to take off. But guys, I'm not saying it's not going to take off. It will. It's just that there's a major hurdle that Apple needs to overcome, and that's convenience. My smartphone, guess what, is also a worse version of everything else that I already own. The difference is that it's already in the pocket.
Yeah.
The Vision Pro, on the other hand, well, at
what
least this version of it, with its unwieldy shape and giant battery bank, is very, very not in my pocket. It's also not in this Segway.
Guys, everything I said when this came out, you guys showed me for these takes, and I was right about the whole thing. The clunkiness of the design of this, and then the fucking battery pack. It looks like you're being fucking trained. You're like a kid on a leash, dude.
Very not in my pocket. It's also not in this Segway. To our sponsor, Odoo. Imagine this. You're running a business, but it's being held together by a bunch of different software of sale and inventory apps.
Anyway,